Welcome to everybody viewing this. I am Addae Moon, the Associate Artistic Director here at Theatrical Outfit, and I have the honor of having Miss Aseelah Williams here from the Atlanta Children's Shelter, who we are honored to be partnering with for Baskervilles, which is a show that's showing now at the theater, and hopefully some partnerships with them in the future as well. Aseelah, thank you for spending some time to talk to us.
Oh, you're more than welcome. My pleasure, my pleasure.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be involved with the Atlanta Children's Shelter.
Oh, cool. So I think I have such a cool story. So I was looking to transition into education. I come from a business background and I come from a line of educators. My grandmother was a fifth grade English teacher. My great aunt and granddaddy were coaches and teachers. So I was like, okay, I think I missed my calling somewhere along the way. So I was like, I want to get into education. So stumbled, did the gays and just different, trying different avenues. And I had a friend that was looking online and she was like, Aseelah, you need to apply to this job. And so it was a substitute position here that they were hiring for at the time. And it was two positions. One was for the infant room and one was for the preschool classroom. So I actually applied for both. I was like, I didn't care, I was gonna apply. And so this was like 10 years ago when I applied. Wow. And I got the position. So I was like transitioning jobs because I was like, oh my goodness, if they let me on, I promise I'm never gonna leave this place. Because it's just the point of someone giving me the opportunity, and it's like they stick to their mission. They not just they cater to the homeless population, but they also want to see their staff and just people grow within themselves and to grow within the agency. So they gave me that opportunity. So I came on as a substitute teacher for the infant classroom in 10 years ago, 2011. And then I was brought on permanently full time and served as the lead infant teacher, and then did that for 3 years. I was in the classroom for 3 years, and then I was promoted to instructional lead teacher, where I supervised the teachers and worked closely with the child care director. So did that for 5 years, and then my last 2 years, I a position became available in development, and I was like, hey, why not see? I know a little bit about the agency, and I was already kind of doing the fundraising piece. They would let me go and accept donations, go and speak at fundraisers. So I pretty much was already kind of doing the job, but then I was still in childcare. So I was like, hey, I do that a little bit anyway. So let me get my hands wet a little bit more. So applied for a position in development. At the time, it was the development coordinator. And so I've since then, that was 2020. And my new role as of now is the donor relations manager. So I work on the development team where I work closely with the development director, where we do grants for the agency, fundraising events for the agency. I also facilitate the volunteers that want to come in and volunteer. And I make the new relationships with all the different donors as I have with you guys. And I oversee the database manager. So I got a couple of hats here.
No, you're wearing a lot of hats. A lot of hats. Yes. Oh, that's great. That's great. Tell us a little bit about the Atlanta Children's Shelter's mission and their history as well as an organization.
So ACS has been here for 35 years. And when they first told me the story about ACS, I thought about the movie In the Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. So the way the setup was, when him and Jaden had to leave the shelter and they had to be there at a certain time just to get the space for the evening. Well, ours was the vice versa. This was the space. We had a partner from the Junior League of Atlanta, and one of the founding fathers here at the church. And they were looking for ways to help the homeless population 35 years ago, to help them sustain themselves and get them out of that homeless situation. So it was to say the parents they got out of the shelters at 7 o'clock in the morning. So then this was like a first come, first serve type place. If they didn't have space, say a parent had a family of 3 and they needed 2 classrooms, say infant and 2 preschoolers. Then if they didn't have the space at the time, then they would not accept the family because they wanted to keep the families all together, because being at the shelter, they probably were already separated, because the men aren't able, depending on the shelter and the marital status of the parents of the family, then they're able to stay in that unit together. But depending on the criteria of the shelter, they are separated. But mostly it's the women and the children that stay together, and then the men have to go somewhere else. So they wanted, being that they were experiencing that dynamic, they didn't want to have to separate the kids and didn't want the mom to have to worry about, oh, I got one child here and then now I got to keep these other 2. She still can't do anything. So to kind of fast forward, they created a model to where, okay, now we have it to where now we can, versus it just being a first come, first serve, let's see how we can change the dynamic and really, really help some families. So the whole goal, our mission, is to break the cycle of poverty of families facing homelessness by building those pathways to long-term self-sufficiency and providing them quality early childhood education. So with that, we are providing early childhood education to 50 children from infancy as young as 6 weeks up to kindergarten to 6 years of age. And in return, we help those parents find jobs, go back to school, and also assist them with housing. I think that's like my favorite piece right now.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That one organization is doing all this work.
Yes. And to be able to speak to it, I've seen the child care piece, and I've seen just the agency grow. So I feel like I have seen, just as the agency has grown, I've grown within it as I've moved from position and things to seeing just how we have moved over the years. It's been exciting.
Right. What are some of the challenges for the population that you serve, especially during the holiday season?
With it being the holiday season, and then I guess I have to not just include the holiday season, I have to think about COVID, just coming out.
I forgot we're still in a pandemic.
Yes, coming.
Oh, right, Christ, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and we actually, did I disappear? I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're back.
My phone wrong. Okay. Just even with COVID, we ended up yes, we did close for the first 3 months. And that was because of the whole, everybody shut down. But we were able to sustain everybody, keep them housed. We did a COVID emergency relief fund to where we were able to keep everyone housed and fed during that period. We did, even though the kids weren't here, we did virtual learning with them. So they were still able to do their classes. We invested in laptops and tablets and iPads, just so so the teachers could just connect with them, even though they were still at home. So we were able to still keep things moving and grooving. We shopped. The ED was very shocked.
Right.
Able to still keep things going. And then when we opened back up in June of 2020, we did it in a slow phase. So we did it by classrooms and just gradually increase the kids by class. And now we're just actively back up and running. With it being the holiday season, just trying to make sure that the families have a wonderful Christmas, just as you would any traditional Christmas. Last year, normally we host an event. We have an annual event that's called Holiday House. And this is probably like my most favorite time of the year, right? It's busy, but you get the true meaning of Christmas around here. we do, we take in a toy drive. And from that toy drive, we're housed here in the North Avenue Presbyterian Church on the corner of Peachtree and North Avenue. And in the church, there's an auditorium. So we set up the auditorium like a whole marketplace. It's bigger than Toys R Us. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my goodness. Wow. But there you have everything from toys to bikes to clothing to anything a child between 6 weeks and 6 years old, and even the teenagers. We cater to the siblings as well. So we do the whole week. Even though we have the younger children here, we cater to the whole family as a whole. So everyone gets something for Christmas. So from that, the toy drive, we set up the auditorium like a marketplace. And from that, the families are able to shop for free from all the donations that we get. So next week is going to be busy because we got donations coming in. I got volunteers ready, up and going for, we recruited volunteers to just help out with the whole process. So they'll help us with restocking the tables as the parents shop. We're going to have a hospitality area. So we have breakfast and lunch and little holiday treats throughout the day. The volunteers are also be able to serve as personal shoppers. So each family will have their own personal shopper to help them shop for their family. And then we also gift wrap the gifts. Like once they shop, we gift wrap everything. So they get to go home, put it directly under the tree. And if they want the kids to open a gift once a week, they got a chance to, because they get as much stuff as they want.
Wow. Oh, that is awesome. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And it is the holiday season. And I definitely want to, focus in on some of the warm aspects of what you do and the work that you do. Could you tell me, what's your favorite success story since you've been there?
My favorite success story, I would say from being in the classroom, I would say I have two. And
two's great.
I think my first one would be from when I was working in the childcare piece. You work real close with the kids, and then you learn where a family that's homeless, you learn the meaning of survival mode, and they are truly in survival mode, trying to just find their way from, the trauma from experiencing homelessness. So just working with them and just trying to let them know that, yes, you can trust me. I am here for you. I am here for your child, and for them to develop that trust in me because they're so used to other people telling them no. So it was for me to gain that parent's trust. And if I told them something, they would say, oh, Miss Aseelah, you were right. Or thank you so much for helping me. Or even if they had a bad day and they came in and they was like, for whatever happened before they came and dropped their child off and they had like this attitude and I didn't receive it, but they always, if it was something that had, it never had anything to do with me. And so they would, right. And they would come back and they would actually say, Miss Aseelah, this morning, I don't know what was I had so much going on. I am so sorry for coming at you that way. And they would actually come back and apologize. And I said, for them to sense or to even know that they went off on me that morning, but to come back that evening and apologize, that said a lot, because then that showed that they actually respected me, and then they appreciated the work that I do with them and with their child. So it was that just melted my heart, because I was like, I would have already known it didn't have nothing to do with me, but they, again, that survival mode, and they just would go, it could be anything, and they'll just go off. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right. But it also reinforces that idea too, though. And I think a lot of times we forget when people are in traumatic situations, we have to have the empathy to understand that they're experiencing challenges that we may not even know of.
Exactly.
So I commend you for having that compassion to be open to, to accepting that apology for that person as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So, oh yeah, yes, we have a second one.
My second one would be, I guess now that I've transitioned from childcare and coming on to the development side and seeing just how we're able to provide for the programs and financially provide for the programs and offer the programs and services that we offer, I feel, for me, I feel like I have a step above, I guess, a few others, because I've seen it from a childcare piece from like 8 years ago to see the growth now. So for me I feel like I can really speak to the growth of the agency because I've seen it. And now when it comes to asking for donations or things like that, it comes out in my ass. People say, you really like what you do, don't you? And I was like, you can tell. It's like, yes, because it's like, I guess my voice changes, or if I don't know what it is, but they automatically can identify that I really enjoy what I do. And I always tell them, I must say, I really do enjoy what I do. Is like you say, having the empathy and the passion for it. You have to, when I was in the childcare piece, I always told people that when the teachers would come in, I said, this is a place where you really have to express your empathy. You have to leave all your own personal things outside of here because they're bringing all of their stuff in with them. So you holding on to yours and then taking theirs is gonna clash. You have to be able to separate the two. I said, so leave it in the car, leave it outside those glass windows before you come. I said, because in here you got to have on a whole nother armor and be ready for it. So just being able to speak to the services with other people and share what I've learned, I think I have that, it just comes off. It kind of rubs off a little bit on others and they're like, oh yes, I'm going to call her back. Yes, Atlanta Children's Shelter is where I want to participate or volunteer and do things. So
I mean, I legit felt that when we came up there. So, so these are facts. So the holiday house is coming up next week, the toy drive as well. How can people watching this get involved with ACS? Who should they reach out to for contact?
They can reach out to myself via email. And also I have my development director, Miss Allison Griffin. We're just busy right now between the toy drive and making sure the volunteers are set up and also just taking in-kind donations. So we're always taking in-kind donations. Even though it's not just the holidays, even though we're taking in toys and things like that, there are other things that we're always in need of. So whether it's diapers and wipes for the kids, we do have an Amazon wish list where we're always needing like seasonal clothing and things for the parents as they transition out of the shelters. We assist them with housing. And so with that, whether it's an apartment or moving into our new housing program, which I'm sure you'll ask me about.
Yes.
But we give the parents what's called a home starter kit. And that home starter kit consists of anything that a parent would need, any home good items that a parent would need first off going into that new home. So whatever a person would need as an individual, like anything personally that I would need, our families need the same thing. And then thinking alongside of a child, what would a child from birth to 5, what their needs are, we provide all of that for them.
Great, and we'll have some information about that at the end of this video. But tell us about this new housing project that y'all are working on at ACS.
So this is like so exciting. We have a program that's called Keys to Independence. And the Keys to Independence program is a program that helps our parents transition into housing. So before we were doing it where it was like for the first 4 to 6 months, we would assist this family with transitioning from the shelter into an apartment. But we were finding that a lot of our parents needed a little bit more help, whether it was from signing like the deposit when they first go into an apartment, or their credit wasn't good, or they had an eviction on their record. We were just finding these other gaps that needed to be filled. And so we extended our program to be able to help with the rental assistance, find like those first down payments, deposits, and things like that, to where we help that family up to a year or 18 months, just to help sustain them and help eliminate a lot of barriers financially so that they can transition and do other things that they needed to do. Because we've learned that if you eliminate certain barriers, it empowers them to do other things. And finance is one of the big things, which is why we do the free childcare. So with housing, we were finding that along with them being able to move, again, you had those families that needed help from transitioning out of the shelter into something more temporary because they didn't have the credit to be able to do it. They had evictions or things like that. They had something that didn't allow them to go into that permanent housing phase. So we wanted to come up with a way of how we could help them. So what we thought about was expanding the Keys to Independence program, where ACS would lease a housing unit, whether it's an apartment or a house, for 12 months. And then in that process, that family would stay there for the 12 months. In return, they would have to be in school and working. And also, we would cover their rent for that whole year, helping them financially build up a whole budget for themselves. And the whole goal is for them to transition out of the temporary housing into permanent housing so that another family can go through the same process as what they did. So right now we have one family, we have a lease with a house, is here in the Atlanta area, a family, a mom and her 2 young kids, and they moved in the end of October. So we are the whole goal is to find 2 more housing properties that we can possibly lease or potentially own ourselves, and have more families filtering into the temporary housing piece, which is in high demand right now with the temporary housing. I said, I'm learning that it came to me, I said, they took away the projects and now we need all of the temporary housing. I said, but I don't want the projects come back. I want to see true housing to meet the needs of the age that we serve. Because these kids are technologists. They're so techno savvy, it's ridiculous. So I feel like their environment should be accommodating to meet, their generation and their needs.
Exactly.
So that's what we do.
No, I mean, woo! Miss Aseelah Williams, thank you so much for your empathy, for your passion, for your work. I know Theatrical Outfit is honored to be working with you and ACS on this project and hopefully on future projects as well. The sort of holistic approach that ACS is taking to housing challenges is just absolutely breathtaking. And we're thankful to have y'all in the city.
Thank you. I'm glad that we are in the city. I think when I first came here, we were considered as the best kept secret in Atlanta, but we're gradually making ourselves more known. And we're doing it because of the dynamic of the families that we serve. A lot of our families come from that domestic violence background. So it's hard to kind of share a whole lot about us, but the little bit that we are able to share once people hear is like, how do I get involved? And I have so many ways.
So I'm hoping that everybody who's watching this is gonna get involved after seeing it. Thank you again. And thank you for being part of Downtime Dialogues with Theatrical Outfit.
Thank you for having me.
Blessed day.